There are four main steps to any program design. It's to determine our goal, determine our current training status, determine our time frame along with that, and then the things we've got available for us. And the final part of that is to plan backward and execute forward. The main part of that is that we want to look at that goal and what status we need to have in order to achieve that goal. And then we need to take those steps backwards to today. If I have 2.5 years to get ready for something, I don't need to be quite as obsessive about the details as if I have 8 to 10 weeks to get that thing done. Within that framework, then, we want to look at what do my actual sessions need to look like to get the most out of my time at the gym. One of the mistakes that athletes make is to use exercise as a primary criteria when designing a session, when actually exercises are sort of the last thing we come to. The first criteria when we're designing a session is the repetitions or time under load. And when we are looking at a specific exercise, it doesn't even matter what exercise it is. The most important part of the workout is how intensively we're doing the given exercises in that workout. For example, if I just go into the gym and say, I'm going to do pull-ups, I could be training endurance or I could be training maximum strength. And so it's really essential that I start with load. If I start with load and I say I'm going to load myself up to almost 100% of my max, and I'm going to do some pulling, I can do pull-ups, I can do rows, I can do landmine rows, I can do exercises on the moon board, but as long as the intensity is correct, then I'm going to see the desired training outcome. If I'm all over the place in intensity, I'm going to be stimulating all different kinds of systems, and I'm not going to see the same outcome that I would expect. The second criteria when designing a session is the number of sets that you're going to do in an exercise. This would be number of sets in the weight room, meaning I'm going to do 5 sets of 5 repetitions of pull-ups, or it might be the number of problems that I'm going to do before I take a long break in a bouldering session. The number of sets is essential for determining the amount of capacity we're asking that athlete to put forth and the amount of biological load that that athlete's going to carry out of that training session. Long sets, long sessions tend to take a long time to recover from, and we need to have a really good reason for doing sessions like that. Otherwise, we want to be pretty conservative and keep those sets short and keep them really targeted. The third criteria is loading. How heavy am I going to go for the given repetitions that I chose in the first criteria? When I talk about loading, I can go pretty lightly for the number of repetitions I have planned in a set, or I can go pretty heavy. Am I going to be at limit for each one of these sets that I'm trying to do, or am I going to be doing slightly lower levels that I can do for more sets and work better on my capacity? It's really important. Do I want to go for long sessions so my endurance and my ability to sustain high levels of work are improved, or do I just really want to push up those max numbers? A great example of this is the big 3-hour-long bouldering session. If we are doing a really long session, we can't go anywhere close to our maximum bouldering ability, and so we're really building capacity there. If I want to go absolute maximum limit, I should get really warmed up, target my limit level for just 30, 45 minutes, and then go on to other training or at a lower intensity. The fourth criteria is the tempo of movement or the muscle action. We want to think about, am I going to move slowly in this exercise in order to develop control? Am I going to move explosively in this exercise in order to develop the ability to execute more powerfully? If we are trying to develop our ability to hold lock-offs, to hold positions, keep our hips in, things like that, we might design the session so that we're moving more slowly in many of the exercises. Otherwise, we tend to fall to a comfortable tempo, and that tempo is usually the one where we're already seeing the most development, where we're already the strongest. The fifth criteria is the rest between sets and the rest between exercises. As you can imagine, you can change a workout profoundly by resting really long time between exercises, or you can make it really, really difficult by not resting much at all. This is one of the tricks of a group fitness class where we go on time sets or where we really try to go quickly. The athletes get tired out. They get a perception of fatigue, a perception of tiredness, and so they think they got a really good workout. Often, if I can get an athlete to slow down a little bit and take a little bit more time between each thing, we see a lot higher levels of performance throughout the workout. And again, it goes into what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking for more muscular endurance, you can do shorter rests between sets and exercises. If you're looking for more strength, the general rule is longer rests between those things. The final criteria when we're designing a training session is the exercises that we're going to put in. When I start out with exercises and I plan out based on I'm going to do pull-ups and squats and I'm going to boulder, I end up getting a structure that's not really telling me how intensively I'm going to train, how long I'm going to train, what the desired outcome is going to be. And so if I save those exercises for last, I say I'm going to go really hard, I'm going to rest a lot in between, I'm going to go at this tempo, then I can bring those exercises in and say, the pull-up would be appropriate here, the squat would be appropriate here, core work would be appropriate at this part of the workout. And then I can have a whole picture of what I want to get out of my athletes and out of my own training. I can also easily substitute in different exercises and still know that I'm going to get the proper benefit out of that training program. When you are designing training, it's essential that you look at it on a grand scale. What do I want to get in my career? What do I want to get in the next 3 years? What do I want to get in the next 1 year? Then we actually get into training programming, where we are starting to drop in specific stimuli that we want this athlete to experience. That all falls within the 1 year time period. And then we break it down to single months of training, single weeks of training, and then finally sessions of training. And so the session is the ultimate building block of our performance. And if you are failing to properly structure your sessions, you're failing to properly structure the entire thing. And so it's worth taking the time to put a little bit of structure in place and then pay attention to whether you're seeing progress in the specific exercises within the session.